Let me bring in Mary McNord. And Mary, you're here because you're an expert on radicalization. This could end up looking like a textbook case? No?
Yeah, and if I may, I'd like to comment on a few of the things already that we've discussed because, you know, I spent 20 years in the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, 3 years as, in national security at DOJ, including as the acting assistant attorney general. And, you know, it's not all the Capitol Police that is responsible for investigating these threats. At the U.S. Attorney's Office, we kept an AUSA, an assistant United States attorney, on threat detail 24/7 around the clock, around the year, and frequently would get referrals of threats to members of Congress, work with the FBI to investigate those threats right away. So Capitol Police will take the first look, but when it seems like, you know, there's a true threat there, a credible threat, that comes right over to the investigators at DOJ, who can then open a grand jury investigation if necessary and obtain subpoenas and to look into all the kinds of things that others have been already mentioning. I'll also mention that I was part of the House 1-6 task force on U.S. Capitol security immediately after the January 6th attack. And one of our recommendations, this was a task force led by General Russell Honore, and one of our recommendations was to substantially expand protection for members of Congress, including in their home districts, at their homes, and in their offices in the districts. And you're right, the price tag is enormous, but the threats, even back when we issued our report in March 2021, the threats were already at 4 times what they'd been prior to January 6th, and they continued to rise. But to your actual question, you know, this is the same types of disinformation that have driven other types of political violence, that drove the violence at the Capitol on January 6th, continues nearly 2 years after the election to drive the kind of violence that we saw today. It may be less physical than today, like we're seeing increases in voter intimidation efforts across the country. We've had threats to election officials and election officers consistently since the election in 2020. You know, still today, it's not like there was just a quick, you know, spike and it dissipated. It's still ongoing. We're seeing efforts to recruit poll workers who deny elections, to challenge people's abilities to vote. And these are all things a little more subtle than this attack on the speaker's husband, but they're political violence all the same.
Yeah, look, I want to put up, this is just a list we put together, and I'm not going to even sit here and claim it's exhaustive, but since May 23rd, let me read you the various incidents of political violence we've had. On May 23rd, a man pled guilty to threatening Dr. Fauci. On June 8th, a man was arrested for threatening to kill Justice Kavanaugh, was stalking him around his house. On July 14th, a man threatened Pramila Jayapal, a congresswoman from outside of Seattle, who was threatening her outside her house. Congressman Lee Zeldin, who's running for governor of New York, was attacked by a man with a knife also in the month of July. Pro-Trump gunmen attacked the FBI offices in Cincinnati on August 11 after Mar-a-Lago. We have a woman charged with making death threats against the Judge Aileen Cannon in that and she was charged in September. And of course, today, on the same day of this attack, we had a man plead guilty to threatening the life of Congressman Eric Swalwell. Mary, I guess I come back to you in this. We obviously see the rise. The root cause, you know, I don't think we can secure our way out this. The root cause is clearly rhetoric and how it's amplified online. Pure and simple, no?
Oh, I agree. And I would just say, you know, it's not unlike what we've seen foreign terrorist organizations do. So when I was at the Department of Justice in 2014 through 2017, when ISIS declared a caliphate, what did they use? They used internet platforms, social media, private forums and chat rooms to spread disinformation, to recruit, to propagandize, to monetize, to plot, and to plan, right? And domestic extremists do the same thing. The pattern is unmistakable, and that is the medium of choice. And sometimes it's very open and accessible, and very quickly they use private forums and private chat rooms to engage in further spreading of false information, whether it's about the satanic cabal that the Democrats supposedly are running that is, you know, preys on children, or whether it's about false claims of election fraud in 2020. And the thing about it is now is that extremists across the spectrum are now trafficking in each other's disinformation. So you have conspiracy theorists like QAnon, along with white nationalists, along with accelerationists, right, and anti-government extremists and private and lawful militias, all propagating the same type of disinformation.
Yep. The people that need to answer a lot of questions, first and foremost, are at Facebook, Google, Twitter, TikTok. That's a place I'd certainly like to see get started. Anyway, Tom Winter, Ben Collins, Ryan Nobles, and Mary McNord, thank you all for getting us started. We're going to continue to follow this breaking news. We'll bring you any new developments.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.